Hello, my name is Suzanne van Doorn. I'm a blogger, I'm a psychologist on mindfunda.com. If you visit my site mindfunda.com, you can register for my email newsletter and you are able to download a book about mutual dreaming because I did some very interesting research about meeting people in your dreams and having proof that you have met somebody. Very nice book, so please register for my newsletter and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'll be uploading very interesting interviews. And today I have the pleasure of talking to Barbara Koning. She's one of the editors of Dreams and Spirituality. And Barbara, good morning. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning, Susan. Thank you for inviting me. I'm a psychologist of religion. That means I have been researching the interfaces between the religious outlook of people and their habits on the one side and their psychological processes on the other side. So that's my field of expertise. And next to that, I'm a counselor and I work a lot with dreams in counseling my clients.
Mm-hmm. And you also have a very interesting website.
Thank you. Yes, my website is dedicated to collecting resources on dreams and spirituality from a lot of different angles and backgrounds. So you can find books about Buddhism and dreams, about Christianity and dreams. You can find books on Jungian authors who deal with spirituality and dreams and a lot more. My website is dreampilgrims.com.
Dreams and Spirituality is divided into three parts: multidisciplinary points of departure, and Bart has told us something about his contribution to this part. Bart Koet, one of the editors of Dreams and Spirituality. The third part is Dreams and Practice of Pastoral Care, out of the mouth of babies. Kate has told us something about her contribution to this part of the book, very important also with children and spirituality. And your contribution to the book is Dreams and Religion, Empirical Data, Theory and Reflections. Would you like to tell us something about your contribution to the second part of the book? Varieties of Religious Dreaming, some explorations from the point of the view, descriptive psychology of religion.
Yes, I will be happy to do that. In my chapter, I identify and explore 4 different interfaces between dreams on the one hand and religiosity on the other hand. I think that is helpful for pastors in their conversations to really keep in mind that one or more of the interfaces can be involved and they all demand a certain conscious strategy. So the first interface is the religiosity can be part of the dream, can be in the dream. One can dream about a church building, or one can have a monk or something like that in the dream. The second interface is that the religiosity can shape the attitude towards the dream and the dreaming, like people who have a very literal outlook on reading the Bible and their way of dealing with religious matter. They read a lot of stories about dreams in the Bible, so they can have a kind of an authoritative view that God is speaking to them in the dream, or even the devil can speak in the dream. And at the other side of the spectrum, very liberal people only would look very psychologically towards the dreaming, even if they are religious. So the pastor should have that in mind and be able to relate to that attitude. Otherwise, you can have severe misunderstandings. And the third interface is that some interpretation of dreams can really be applied towards the religiosity of the people. So the consequences of the dream can affect religiosity. And I give that example of a lady who had a dream of white papers coming down from heaven. And before that moment, she felt very guilty and sinful. And somehow she understood from the dream that God had forgiven her sins, that they were washed white like snow. You can find that in the scripture. And that was a big, big new experience of God who is forgiving. So her whole experience of her own religiosity had changed through the dream. And that is also something that a pastor should reflect upon. And then a fourth interface is that through the process of working with dreams, dreamers can have very profound experiences of inner changes, very mystical, very non-analytical experiences, and they can, in many cases, for people that can be a direct mystical experience of God working in the inward part of their being, and of course a little bit hidden, but very meaningful. So pastors should be aware of that interface too. And yes, then I give some examples and give some clarifying concepts. So that is my job in that chapter.
Okay, well, thank you, because it's very important if you are a pastoral worker or a spiritual person guiding people with dreams, that you can take a few steps back and have a really analytical sculpture to
Sure.
look at dreams.
Yes, and the more, because you can understand that other types of counselors won't pick this specific types of interface up. Like psychotherapists, they deal with dreams more like emotional, in the emotional way, or only pastors and spiritual caregivers could work with these specific types of interface, and they should be aware of that because they're needed for this work.
Yeah.
So it's a motivational chapter too, in this respect.
Yeah, and besides author, you have also been an editor for this book. And what was the vision that, in your eyes, this book has on the range of all spiritual books that are available? What was the reason that you, Bart Koet, and Kate Adams said, we have to do something because...
Yeah, from the perspective of spiritual persons in the Western world, is very unknown to many people that dreams can be a source of spiritual renewal and adventures and growth. So the only way to bring that to the minds of the people is to give it a very methodical exposure. And if you give only the stories, we have in our stories in our book, but if you give only the stories, people can think, well, those people were a bit lunatic. if you only give the theoretical scientific base, people think, well, scientists, that's not my job, that's not my piece of cake. So yeah, and also in the second part we have those dialogues, those reflections between different ways of being religious and different ways of working with dreams, and so that gives a horizon, that gives a lot of a big variety of positions. So I hope spiritual people will get the point that it is a source for them. It is possibly a source, and that is the new thing of this book.
Yeah, I think it puts religion in a broad perspective.
Yes.
Because lots of religions are mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
And I really like those three parts. They all have an interlude, and those are dream narratives.
Yeah.
And it's like when I read the book, it was like listening to a piece of music.
Wow.
With the interludes. They are like a bridge towards another realm of meaning.
Yes.
Yeah. So I really, really liked that. I really think that this book is very good and useful also for people like me who consider themselves spiritual but not so much religious.
Yes, in the traditional way at least. Yes, yes. Yeah.
So thank you very much for this interview and for your vision on religion and psychology.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye, Suzanne.